Hi, guys.
All right, Mia, just what did you learn from last year now? Having played that first year in the Big 12, I know there's new members and things, but now having gone through that and now be here for year two, what are some things you take from last year you want to apply this year?
Yeah, I mean, as Tiff has mentioned before, being in the Big 12 last year has definitely prepared us a little bit more for this year, kind of figuring out who our opponents are and their style of play. So, as Chloe mentioned before, we have film now. We have film from playing against these opponents from their last past games this past season. And I think that's something that we can take into this season for sure. But I've been consistently saying that being in the Big 12 that first year was definitely nerve-wracking and exciting, and we did super well, finishing sixth at the end of regular season, which is super important, for us and for UCF in general. But going into the second year, it's a huge opportunity to show team consistency, and I think that almost the second year into a new conference is as important as the first, for sure.
Coach talked about talked about this attacking group and lauding, that all of that. From your perspective, what has it been like working with this attacking group, with Eddie and Emily there?
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten the opportunity to get to know Eddie, Chloe, and Emily on a personal basis, and they're all amazing human beings, and they're extremely athletic and talented players. So, coming from a player of my position with having them three in front of me, it kind of adds to the fire. It adds to my own personal confidence, knowing that I have very talented players in front of me, and it's honestly really exciting to think of all the potential goals that we can have and opportunities that we can create for each other within the next matches coming up.
You have a lot of creativity in your game. How does that fit in with a very possession-based style?
Yeah, I think that there's a balance, honestly. Like Chloe, Ani, and Tip had mentioned, the priority is to, perform well tactically and keep possession and try to win the game that way, and obviously putting the ball in the back of the net. But I think that in women's soccer in general, there has been, a huge evolution of just adding creativity in the game, and I think that that will continue to evolve. And so that's one of my own priorities, is to continue to just enjoy it and kind of just remember why I started playing in the first place. And so, to answer your question, in connection to UCF playing style, creativity, I mean, the environment that we have here, it fosters creativity. Tiff and Tim, and Coach K as well, coming in as kind of an assistant coach, and he played on the Japanese national team. He's given so much to this team in terms of creativity and especially in the attacking third. So I think that at UCF on the women's soccer team, creativity is fostered constantly and it's encouraged. So sometimes you just can't help it.
Describe, you mentioned Coach Tiff. I mean, 1999 World Cup team celebration. She's on the Today Show. She's been with the U.S. national team as a coach and as a player. What's it like being around her and playing for her? Somebody as significant of a stature that she has in the sport.
Yeah, I mean, I knew coming in my freshman year, I committed my freshman year of high school, which was like a lifetime ago, but knowing who she was, even before all this, media with the 99ers, and even before she went to go coach with the team in the World Cup, like I knew going in and becoming a part of this team that Tiff was going to be a critical part of my personal and player development. And so I'm pretty positive that everybody feels the same exact way. Tiff and Tim, especially Tiff, has given so much to this team in terms of understanding the game and finding out who you are as a player and like what your strengths are, what you can work on. And so her coaching style is, it's admirable. I definitely want to coach later down the line. So having her as a role model, has been super important to me to kind of see how you can be a successful coach. And so, yeah, it's just been an amazing experience. And I'm so glad I get to be here for 2 more years and learning even more under her. Yeah, it's been a really good experience so far.
Chloe talked about
For one or two more.
Chloe talked about the senior leadership on the squad. Talked about you being very vocal on the team. You talked about wanting to be a coach. Is that kind of where that kind of vocal
Yeah, honestly, I've always been like a really hyper kid. I've definitely calmed down over the years, but I think that's kind of where it stems from a little bit. I've always been kind of like I'm very much an energy person, and I kind of like pick up on other people's energy. So if I see somebody's down, like I immediately like feel the need to want to help cheer you up. Um, but I think that having a vocal leader on the team is super important and significant for team performance. I think that often we notice that sometimes like in practice when we're like all kind of like quiet and like sluggish a little bit, the practice doesn't go as well as we want it to. But as soon as everybody's kind of like locked in and hyping each other up and whatnot, it's just a better practice overall. So I've kind of taken it amongst myself to make sure that we constantly have that energy. And I'm not the only one that does that. There's so many different players on our team that bring that energy, and you're going to see that we're just a team that has energy in general. It's not just me. And I definitely wanted to mention that, as Chloe had mentioned before, we do, like, as captains, we have a perfect balance of, what a team needs. Like she had mentioned before, Ani's super passionate, and like a lot of players look up to her because, I mean, she's just such a dedicated player, and she brings a lot to this team. And I know that Chloe mentioned that she like doesn't know what her role is, but her role is she leads by example, 100%. Her consistency in performance, and just her ability to just put the ball in the back of the net, like almost at the craziest moments. Like nobody expects it sometimes, but like now that we know Chloe and we know her as a player, you see her at the top of the box, it's a goal, point blank, period. And so I think that even with just us three being captains, there's a good balance, but there's also a good balance within other players on the team too and what they bring to the squad as well.
Are you excited to watch the gold medal match this weekend?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely would say that I'm not necessarily surprised, but I'm super excited to see Brazil in a final again. I feel like as a young soccer player growing up, you kind of idolize Brazil, even though, a lot of us are from the States, and you idolize the United States women's soccer team as well. But Brazil has definitely a different type of playing style, a little bit, more like edgy, more like creative. But we're seeing a lot of that on the U.S. women's national team as well. And so, like, I think it's going to be a really good match, not to just watch, but to learn from. And I'm super excited. Obviously, being from the States, I would love for the U.S. to win the gold. And I've personally been learning a lot from the trio, as they're calling them, Sophia Smith, Trinity Rodman, Mallory Swanson. As an attacking player, it's been super amazing to see them succeed, and, also being a woman of color, seeing them too succeeding and kind of representing, that community. So it's been amazing, and to see women's soccer evolving consistently.
What's the difference between the 2023?
Last question.
What's the difference between 2023 Mia Asenjo versus the one we're seeing right now going into 24?
Yeah. I mean, not to like be repetitive, but I mean, confidence. A lot of your personal agenda correlates with your team's agenda. And so confidence has been a huge thing for us as a team. But I definitely would say for me, along with confidence, would be consistency. It's something that I've 100% continued to work on, and I hope that I can come into this season being a more consistent player for UCF. I've played a lot of minutes, and I've gotten a lot of experience, and so that kind of like correlates into confidence. And I think that, I mean, my ACL injury was so long ago. It was back in 2021, but even now, I started to realize that you almost don't even get your full confidence back coming back from an injury like that until now. I haven't gotten it fully back until just recently, and I mean that's its own problem in itself. Is people talk about the recovery of an injury like that, but nobody talks about afterwards, and that's the hardest part. And so I've been in an amazing environment, having amazing teammates around me, and the coaching staff, and even sports medicine at UCF has been, critical for my development. And so I 100% would say confidence. 2023 Mia, In 2024, Mia, I'm way more confident than I ever have been, and you know, that has come with experience and also having the opportunity to train with, you know, the pros and whatnot. So I'm super excited to see what I have to prove this year, and I kind of have an idea of it, but we'll definitely see what happens. Yeah.
Good luck, Mia.
Thank you, guys.